ladies and gentlemen. I'm very excited to have the sixth episode of the Stuck In podcast. You know, I haven't recorded an episode in a while, I'll be honest, because of school and other commitments, but I'm very happy to have Mr. Vincent Bezecourt. Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah, perfect, man.
All right. You've had a good first season, I would say. You know, you've come into Singapore, first time playing, living in Asia, and I think you've left a good impression on not only like the Geylang fans, but Singapore fans, and so I guess today we'll talk a little bit more about the stuff on the pitch, also stuff off the pitch. You know, it's very just casual. I know you were recently in Bali.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that, what it's like to explore Southeast Asia, I guess, and also how important it is to get some time away, you know, during a long season and we just relax and
Well, that's one of the reasons why I came to Singapore, because, you know, like you said, I've never lived in Asia. And this was an experience, you know, like discover places. This year I went to Vietnam, I went to KL, I went to Bali.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
I went to Thailand. So yeah, it's off the pitch has been great, and yeah, on the pitch it's been decent as well.
It's more than decent. Playing against you, I know it's been more than. We could talk a little bit about that. I still remember the first game you played was against us in preseason.
Yeah.
And I still remember we were always talking like, who's the foreigner? You know, obviously I think at that stage you hadn't done the first interview yet.
No.
With Radar RR, right?
I think that was one of my first day in Singapore, second day, and then he threw me like...
Yeah, I remember because I was watching back the interview and then you said, oh yeah, I landed and 2 days later we played. And then I was like, that guy, that you were playing like that 2 days after only?
Yeah, and then I came from France and, you know, like...
You probably hadn't had like a proper preseason.
Yeah, exactly. Then I was like dead tired and then, yeah.
And I was like marking you, I was like, oh my God. It's like this is... The thing's playing as a 6. In the SPL, it's all basically 4 and number 10s, right? It's got like pretty you, much, yeah. Diego... whoever it is, and I'm just like every single game I'm like, oh, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll make it cool, yeah. Not enjoyable for you to play. I try.
No, you did a good job this year for sure, yeah.
So obviously you talk a little bit about the traveling and stuff like that. I know you grew up in let me try and pronounce this. Sur-le-Deux.
I was born there, yeah.
Yeah, you were born there. Yeah. So I'm guessing that's quite a rural place, or is it quite a big city vibe?
It's very small, I think. That place where I was born in, probably like 50k people live there.
Oh wow,
that's
okay.
it. But where I grew up, it's like countryside. Like I think not even 300 people live there.
So wow, like so I mean, since then you've gone on to live in New York. You lived in San Francisco. You lived in Singapore. You lived in Armenia, but I assume it was the capital of Armenia, so it's a little bit more city. Like, what's it like?
So coming from where I'm from, first of all, not a lot of people get out of this because they just do what their parents do, and most of them, some of them are peasants, honestly. To be honest with you. And then, I think thanks to football that took me places in the first place. And then, so I went to Bordeaux in high school, which is a much bigger city. Yeah. And then I went on to studying there. And then, after that, New York, Miami, Yerevan,
big places,
Singapore, yeah.
No, because I mean, my dad is Irish, right? And he grew up in a very, very small town, and he's similar. You know, all his friends are still there, most of them, and like for him to make it out and come all the way to Singapore, it's like unheard of. Yeah. So whenever I go back to Sligo, it's a nice small town. Maybe we can get you there on a nice.
Yeah, cool, man.
But it's amazing. Like it's such a different like change of pace. You know, just everything's super relaxed, everything's super like slow, but. Would you ever live there again? Would you say?
No chance. Not. Every time I go back during the winter breaks and stuff, I'm like, I go there, I see the family, it's amazing. And then you're there 3 days, 4 days, and you're like, wow, what do I do now?
Exactly,
you know,
exactly. You've said hello to everybody. You've had all the lunches and dinners you can have.
And then after you're like, there's not much to do. So then you go for runs, okay, it's cool or whatever. But
it's all about the nature, right? Yeah, it's just, other than that, there's not much. Yeah. But footballing-wise, would you ever play? Do you think you could live in a city, like say you get a contract offer tomorrow to live in another different town in Armenia, but maybe it's a better team, or like it's just not a city, you know? Would you do it or no?
No. For me, at this point of my career, like the environment is probably the most important thing. Yeah. And so like city comes first, I think. I
guess Singapore is a perfect place, right?
Yeah.
So would you say that it's been a nice 8 months roughly?
Yeah, nice 8 months, yeah. For sure. I met some great people and went on a few trips. I've had many best friends visiting me, so it's been.
I'm sure it's not difficult to get people to come and visit you, right? Like, just come to Singapore, you show them around, and they're like, "Wow, I want to come back."
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a cool place to come to visit, and I enjoy having.
We mentioned New York there, and I just want to bring up a funny photo when I was doing my reresearch.
Oh no, I know where you're gonna drop there.
I just want to say
Vincent
Bezecourt.
No, actually not bad.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't go too disrespectful, but you know, New York. What was that like? Spending how many years did you spend in New York?
2 in college.
Yeah.
And then 3.5 playing for the Red Bulls.
Wow.
But this, by the way, if my hair is that short, because
that's what I was saying. The haircut, you do not need to bring that back.
Doesn't fit me at all, by the way.
It does not.
Thanks. No, but so when you come there to college, you're like a freshman, you know.
Oh, that's what they make you do.
And then there's like they make you do like stupid things
Yeah,
for like
of
a
course.
full day,
I
and
can
then they cut
imagine.
your hair.
Oh.
They shave it completely. But what they did to me, there's like they shaved everything, but they left like the
back,
the top. Like it was disgusting, and you have to keep that for the first day of school, you know. So you show up at school, you don't know anyone. I couldn't even speak English at the time, and I look like a big idiot, you know. And then obviously after you go home and
I was trying to finish it off, but it still doesn't look great. Probably the buzz cut doesn't suit. But no, that's funny because it's like almost like a Singaporean. You know, when they go into army, they shave their head. It's something similar, but
pretty similar.
Let's talk a little bit about how you ended up in the US, because I find your story super interesting because it reminds me a little bit of like where I've been, because I didn't expect to become a professional footballer. It was more just like, oh, I played football, didn't really ever get a chance to go professional, and then I wanted to go to school, and then one day like it sort of happened. How would you describe it now that you look back on it?
Well, it's quite similar. When I went to the US, I mean, when I was in France, I was always playing at the highest level, but never got into academy, and I always had each year like Girondins de Bordeaux and other teams, professional teams.
They look at you, but
looking at me, speaking to my family, blah blah blah. And then that was I was a student at the time, and that was my last year at the university. And then I got on a trial for like Auxerre. It's like a professional team there.
Yeah.
And I hated it. And after that, I was like, you know what, football, like it's over.
Really? Wow.
The move to the US has been on my mind for over a year already. It's just that the year before I didn't have great options, I would say.
Okay.
And then but then when I turned 21, then I had this offer from this small school, private school in Brooklyn, New York, and for me it's been my dream.
Yeah,
always if I have to go somewhere like Brooklyn, New York, you know. And then
but you didn't speak any English?
No, I was terrible, man.
Wow. But that must be such a scary thing to do. Say, okay, I have this dream, I want to live in New York. Nothing to do, even like you didn't even think about football, right? I will use my football as a way to get there, right?
Yeah, that's it. So I got a full scholarship, so that's why I could afford to be and study in the US. But besides that, I was terrible. Actually, you know the TOEFL tests?
Yeah, the English test, yeah.
So like I had like big schools looking at me because football I was good, you know. So they offer me like scholarships, like Clemson University, you know, like 45.
Big D1 schools,
big D1 school. But then my TOEFL, they asked me, like the requirements were for me to get like to 80, 85 out of 110 or 120. I was stuck on like 54 or something, so far out. And I passed it twice, and I get from 54 went to 59. And I studied for it, I swear. So like
that's the hardest you said. But in the end, would you have still picked New York, you think? Like, or would you have rather gone to big D1 Clemson? Because it's very, very different type of atmosphere, I feel.
Yeah, no, I think I would have picked New York.
Yeah.
But after 1 year in New York, I was kind of wanting to go like to a big campus because to have the full experience.
Yeah,
you know,
of course. Yeah, I was about to say.
And then I was super lucky that New York school was private, so they didn't care about TOEFL, and I just went there. So but the first 2 months I was struggling.
Other than this New York school, you had.
No, I had like some other private school like in Georgia or Alabama, in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
And then
especially if you don't speak English, it'd be even tougher, right? At least Brooklyn, you know, New York's a little bit more international.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, so I did all that through an agency.
Okay.
And so they sent me the name, and I see like San Francisco University. And then so I googled San Francisco University, and it's like in Pennsylvania or something.
Yeah.
Like, again. And it's like, no, sorry, it's called San Francisco College. And then I googled San Francisco College, and I see just like the skyline of New York. I'm going there.
100% straight away.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
but I love that mindset that, you know, like obviously that's different now. Back then you weren't professional, right? Like now professional football is probably the main thing, but it's still very important where you live, right? The environment, that's so important. I think a lot of times people don't understand, you know, like when they look at football players, it's like, oh, why can't he just be happy on the pitch, you know, just play, why does it matter? But there's so much stuff that goes on, like it's the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
Like how are you supposed to play well if you go home every day and you're just sat there like, I hate where I live, or I hate where I am right now.
Yeah, man, that's it. That's exactly it.
But you talk a lot about school then, and I find it really interesting because right now I just started my first year of university college, and I fucking hate it. it's so dry and it's so boring. Like I enjoy learning, but some of the different classes that you have to take, right? It's just like I have a statistics class I have to take, or I have a science class. It's so bad. So how did you? Because I know that you have a master's as well. I did, business administration, right?
Yeah, MBA. Yeah.
And how important is that to you to have that, as sort of, I guess, with your career or after your career? What exactly?
Well, I think came from my parents' education. They always say school first,
Yeah.
Especially in France, like a lot of people, they focus only on football and it's super, super competitive. Yeah. And after they're like, okay, like what's happening now? And they have nothing to do, no background, nothing. So that's why school was always my priority. And then I made the jump to the Red Bulls to say, okay, like I can have a career. Even when I moved to the US, I was like, never in my life I could imagine playing in MLS, but it happened. But still in the back of my mind, I was always trying to get at least a master's,
Oh, okay, wow. Because I talked to a few of my teammates here, we're all roughly the same age. And then one or two, I was like, oh yeah, I would think about going to university, or I would think about going to even go on to get a master's. So I think it's, considering you're coming from a place where football is more accepted than Singapore, right? That you're still thinking like that, but I guess your parents must be they must have really drilled it into you. They're
yeah. But even for myself, like I know, football is temporary, and I will never make enough money that I can retire after football day.
Yeah, unless you're
so far out,
the top 0.1%. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, I think even for myself, I know it's important to have some sort of good education and at least a proper diploma.
I like that. I agree with it. It makes me feel better about me. Whenever I think about school, I just think, okay, you know what? I have a good career.
It's annoying, but you just get through it, and then once it's over, you can celebrate.
Exactly. You have the degree and done.
Yeah.
But you mentioned New York and the Red Bulls there. I think that's such an interesting part of your career. Like when I still remember when I first sort of look, who's this guy Bezecourt just signed for Geylang, and I see MLS, like Red Bulls, and like the guys that you've played, play alongside Tyler Adams, Shane, like it's a serious like CV to have. Like I would say most foreigners that come to Singapore don't even maybe aside from the sailors like level, like most guys haven't played at that level. So what was that like to and not just play for the Red Bulls, but the whole experience, right? To go from the second team, from a tryout to the first team, to winning stuff, playing alongside legends. Yeah,
it was crazy actually. So you cannot sign professional in the US until you graduate from school. And I was ready to go back to France, go back to Europe. I applied for a master's in Barcelona, and then there's like the scouting department that emailed me from the Red Bulls, and I go on like a 3-day combine kind of thing with all the best college players of the country. So it's like me coming from super small school in New York,
competing against big D1
and the people that get all the light on them, the visibility, UCLA guys, Maryland guys, Stanford guys, And I was like, these guys are gonna kill me, And we were like 60 of us, and at the end of the day, they took like only 2 French guys, And the draft was coming, and I was eligible at the draft.
Yeah.
And they wanted to draft me, but they say, honestly, like nobody knows you from St. Francis College, so we're not gonna draft you. We're gonna draft other people, but it doesn't matter. Like you come into preseason, just like the draftees are coming to preseason.
Okay.
And preseason is with MLS, so like.
Ooh. That was the chance. That was the chance to. Wow.
So you have to know I'm like super broke. New York City is super expensive.
Yeah.
I don't want my parents to send me the money and stuff. I'm super broke. And then they fly us out to like Miami, Florida, and they give us like everything. It's like I go from like the bottom to being a pro for like 3 weeks. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah. I still remember the first time I get gear, like the simple stuff like trainings, the shoes, whatever it is.
It's like a massive luggage, and it's like Christmas.
Exactly.
It's like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is way too much.
It's like more than you know what to do with, right? You just see you have 3 of the same shirt or whatever it is. Like even the first time I got with Young Lions, I just look at all this kit. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, you guys don't have to pay for this, because I was so used to paying to play.
And
then next thing you know, you get free kit, all this sort of stuff. That's I can imagine Adidas MLS level. That's serious stuff.
And then you go to the airport and you just like looking right and left, and you have like Bradley Wright-Phillips, his brother Sean Wright-Phillips, and Sasha Kleshtan, like great players,
Jesse Marsh was your coach as well, right?
Jesse Marsh was the coach.
Wow, I'm just saying, serious CV to have for you.
Yeah. I didn't know who he was, but
back then, okay, yeah.
And then as soon as he speaks, like the first 1 or 2 meetings, this guy was like, oof, you can tell like the personality, the charisma he has. It's like, wow, this is crazy, you know.
I think that's what separates the good managers from the top, right?
Yeah,
like if you as a player want to like run through a wall, you know, players always talk about. I always think about the John Terry, Lampard, and Drogba. The way they talk about Mourinho, it's like they would die for him.
Yeah.
And I think when you have that as a manager, like you have to be at the top.
Yeah, he's that kind of coach, and honestly. Like he gets the best of every single player, and even like the substitute that don't get a lot of playing time in training, they still like they want to kill for him, you know. And then it was amazing.
Wow. So okay, New York obviously is big spotlight, right? As well, like you're coming in. What was it like to all of a sudden not just obviously talk about the gear and you feel like a professional, but next thing you know, there's people writing articles about you. I'm sure maybe you had a little bit, you know, this French guy from the middle of not nowhere, but from a small town, you go to New York and you're playing, and the next thing you know, like all this attention. What was that like for you? Obviously, it's a little bit. I assume you liked it a little bit, right? Of course.
I liked it, but I think it's a good thing that I came through the second team, because I remember in preseason when I was with the first team, pretty much. Like we were playing like games against Orlando, whatever. I played against Kaka in preseason, and I was in the starting 11 of the MLS team, you know. And people were like, you know, on Twitter they post the starting 11, and people were like reacting, like, "Who is this guy?"
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then, but actually they only had like 8 spots for foreigners, and they were already taken. So they told me it's only like second division for now, and then you have to prove to get.
Yeah, but I mean, it must have been a good sign already if they were putting you in the starting 11, right? Like that must have felt good.
Yeah, for sure. So at the end of the day, I was a bit disappointed to not get an MLS contract because I had a good preseason. But then I think that year in the reserve team really helped me, and people knew me, and I was training pretty much almost every day with the first team. We were only like 2 or 3 guys doing that the whole year. So it was almost natural.
So how, like, do you think you transitioned quite, like you adapted well to professional game, or like did you think it was like, were you like still 6 months later just like, wow, I still can't believe I'm here, or did you just completely like focus?
I was struggling on the physical aspect of the game because Red Bull philosophy is all about like high pressing,
running a lot,
running a lot, direct.
It's the Gegen pressing style, right?
Yeah, exactly, counter pressing, all that stuff, and I didn't have that in me. Like with the ball, I wasn't worse than any other players on the ball, but without the ball,
because I'm sure, especially if you're used to playing at St. Francis, right? You're probably the man, right? You always have the ball, you just sort of dictate, and it's fun. Every player loves that. Like I still remember playing school football. Like the level is not the highest, and you know it's not your level, but it's still fun where you're making people look silly, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you take that step up, and you're like, now I can't do the same thing.
College is bad level, to be honest, and our coach was like, we were like 2 or 3 like pretty good guys. He was like, hey, just give them the ball, no tactics. Like our defenders, they weren't allowed to go up, you know. So he was like a flat 4 center back and just like kicking the ball, or like just find Vincent and then find the striker, and that's it. It was that for a year, and then from that I transitioned to like professional, and super intense training and everything. So. Yeah, it took me a while. Okay, but I mean, obviously you showed enough for them to be like, okay, like let's take this guy. Even though they probably watched some of your games and were like, what formation is this? It's like five. It's 2 separate halves. Like the front half doesn't need to defend, the back half doesn't attack. But no, I mean because I still remember the first training session I had with Young Lions last year. I always talk about this with my teammates. Like I stunk. I was so bad. Really? They're like, we did like the most basic passing drill, and I was just like, I can't do it. Like I was out for so long, and plus the level is just like different. Yeah. So I guess I get what you mean, where it's like you're used to just sort of having fun, just relax, and then I kind of gotta take it serious now. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So then you obviously did eventually make it to the MLS team, right, in your second year, and you started playing quite regularly. Would you say?
Or to the first team?
Yeah, to the first team. You're sort of up and down still, right?
I signed like on the last day of the transfer window.
Wow.
I was losing hope at that point. Yeah.
But were they not speaking to you, or?
No, the coach Jesse March was speaking to me. He was like, "Hey, like be patient." But the thing is, like when I was in France, all the clubs were telling me the same thing. You know, be patient. Like we'll come back to you. Blah blah blah. But actually, Jesse is like very straight. Like if he tells you one thing, he believes in it, and that's the truth. And then. Even the captain, Sasha Kleshten, he was like pushing for me to sign and everything. So like I really had the respect of the senior players in MLS. Good, and then so they had to drop a foreigner player to the second team to make room for me. So that's what happened.
Yeah, okay, but that's a tough decision to make. I understand. Like, And I mean, you train with that guy every day, right?
Yeah,
and it's like, it must be weird to just, you probably still see him the next few days, right? After you sign, and you're like, oh,
yeah, and
I took your spot.
It's super awkward because we have different locker rooms, but in the same training facility. So like, we exchange like locker kind of thing, you know?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
But it feels bad to do it to another person, but at the same time, you must be walking like with the biggest smile on your face. I can't imagine.
Of course.
Wow.
Then you sign your contract, and then 3 days later, like you have a game. Big night. It was against Orlando. I was just on the bench, just for like warming up, like full house.
That was tens of thousands, right? The US is
like
big.
We would get like 25,000.
Oh my god! And that's every game, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But then it's not the highest attendance at all.
Wow.
And then I was just warming up. I was so nervous. I didn't play that game.
Yeah.
And then the next game we play away in Portland, and from the start he put me on the starting 11. And Portland is one of the best atmospheres in MLS too.
I know they have the wooden logs on the side, right? And they do. That's the thing. I want to talk to you about that because they do some stupid stuff. The fans in the US, some of the chants and stuff that I hear, like it goes around social media. I'm like, you must be coming from like France, good football atmosphere, Europe, and you see some of this stuff. You're like, you respect the passion, but at the same time, it's just
they make it a show. Like anything that's like entertaining, then they'll go for it. So. Yeah.
I guess it makes sense like that. Okay. And now look in Singapore you're getting 250, 2,000 if lucky, So what's that like for you though? Like, okay, I won't say that your career has derailed because it's so hard to sustain at that level, right? And it's so cutthroat. But you change, right? You sort of went from playing in MLS, then you had another year in Miami, right?
Yeah,
was it 2 years? A year?
1 year.
Yeah, and then Armenia, and you then playing Champions League qualifiers, Conference League, Europa League qualifiers, playing against Rangers. I know when I listened to that one, that was like, look, if anybody had any, how would you compare like scoring a Champions League qualifier winner, scoring a winner for Geylang, your first game, like all these big moments, like how do they all compare like for you? Like, is there anyone that stands out? I know other than, obviously I did my research for 2013 with the university team, right? That's obviously top, but in terms of like your professional career,
I would say playing at the Ibrox against Rangers was something very special. Like I swear, you in warm-ups like 30 minutes before the game, it's full house already, like, and then people sing and everything. And I started on the bench that game, so like I could like take it all in, and then after you go on the pitch, and I mean it's crazy. It's what you dream of, like big stadium, big atmosphere, and then in the US I played like very big games as well, like in front of like 50-60K.
Were you there with the New York derby? How big was that? Like City versus Red Bull, that one's big?
That was huge, huge. And then actually the only goal that I scored for the New York Red Bulls MLS team was against NYCFC. Wow. So I would say that one was probably one of my best memory. And unfortunately I think 4 days later, this is when I messed up my knee. But it was like scoring. It was Patrick Villara's team. David Villa was the captain. So it was cool.
Do you wish you stayed more? Do you wish you stayed in MLS, or how do you view your career? Are you the sort of just like everything happens for a reason, or do you obviously wish like, okay, I wish I spent more years with New York or more years in the MLS?
I mean, obviously, when you play at this kind of level, you want to stay there. But I knew. Red Bulls, it was the end of a cycle, and they wanted to go even younger with South American players, and they explained it to me, and they wanted my foreign sport to sign like a big time player. So I saw it coming, and me not having the green card, I knew it was gonna be hard, like to find another team in MLS.
No American girlfriend or anybody to.
I actually had a girlfriend at the time.
Did you ever speak to her like, let's just get married, just for me?
She exactly did that, but I wasn't ready to do that,
Sure, she actually brought it up.
She actually asked me. It was like, hey, like I know for your career it would be a lot easier if we get married and stuff.
She was using the career as a
but I didn't want to be stuck with her. I knew she wasn't the one.
Yeah,
so
of course. Yeah.
Decline.
Okay.
Respectfully. And then I knew MLS was gonna be hard. A lot of teams asked about me actually, but they were all thinking that I had a green card, that I wasn't a foreign anymore.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to enjoy.
Was she really that bad? Was it really that bad? The relationship was really just like not even for the green card.
But by the end it was like a bit toxic.
Okay. So then Miami, how was? I mean, again, amazing city to live in, right? Was that something you thought about as well when you were?
Yeah. So actually, Miami, they just bought the tickets to the second division. And then I had some offers in second division pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
And pretty good, decent offer from a good club, San Antonio FC.
Yeah.
With a great setup and everything. And I was gonna do it, And then I was like, hey, Miami.
Yeah.
Come on,
of course.
it's Miami.
Once in a lifetime, right? Once in a lifetime.
So the organization itself, Miami FC wasn't great at the time.
Okay.
They were like structuring themselves and everything. But yeah, just
to live in Miami. Yeah, I can imagine. Like, I mean, how old are you now? 29.
29, yeah.
You've lived in rural France. You've lived in Bordeaux.
Yeah.
You've lived in Miami. You lived in New York. You lived in Armenia. You lived in Singapore.
Yeah.
That's an amazing. Like, even put the football all aside, to have lived in all these places, like that. That's amazing, right?
That's something I'm proud of. For sure. Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice to hear. Because for me, a lot of times, like, people ask, "Oh, I don't even think about Singapore football." There's a lot of people that they always stay in Singapore, right? Even the better players that have a chance to go overseas because it's comfortable and they can make better money or stay near their family. But for me, I always look at it like you can only do football for so long, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I have the chance to live in, I don't know, wherever, Cambodia, outside of Southeast Asia, anywhere, like why would I not take it, right? Because you never know when you're gonna have the chance to live there again.
It's an experience, and going abroad alone. It might be tough at times, but it's an experience, and you learn a lot of things from it, and I enjoy doing it. So that's why we'll see. I mean, maybe another good city coming soon. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Stay tuned to where Vincent will end up next year. We have no idea. Hopefully, he stays in Singapore. Keeps showing us some more skills in the Singapore Premier League.
There's a high chance. We'll see.
Yes, we'll see. So let's talk a little bit about yourself in the SPL, right? So, but I know obviously your knowledge of the SPL was unlimited, of course, before you came in. But you took like a fish to water. Scoring your first game. That's big, especially when it was against Sailors. Like all the eyes were on them. Yeah. And sort of Geylang were a little bit under the radar, and next thing you know, like boom. Like how was that as a first game? Like what was going through your head in that moment? Like going into the game, even after it.
I mean, we played Sailors in preseason. And the way coaches and players talk about the Sailors, like the budget
they make them seem like
and obviously when you play against them, then you wanna.
Yeah, of course.
There's an extra motivation probably, And then actually that game, I thought the atmosphere in the stadium was very, very good. I
think the Ultra Eagles fans do bring a good atmosphere. I have to admit, a bit hostile, but I like it. A bit hostile, yeah.
And then so it was cool. Obviously, us scoring early helped us. Then they got a red card, and it was just like.
I love how you said us scoring early, as if it wasn't you. Nice little goal.
Yeah. No, it was cool. Very good start. And then I was like, okay, like we have a team to do something maybe this year. Next thing you know, for 11 games, we can't even do anything.
And 11 games, we got our first win as well, Young Lions.
Yeah, you guys killed us, by the way.
I remember speaking to you after the game. You were just like, what the hell? Like, we just, I don't know what it was, whether you guys were just off it or we were on it, but there was just something about that game that, like, everything we did was gold. Speaking of everything we did that was gold, I have another clip for you that I like you to see. I'll put it up on the edit, but I want you to talk me through this clip right here. Vincent, where you you going, man?
What?
A little roulette around you?
Oh, it's alright, man. No, nothing crazy. Was that a foul?
Yeah. 100%. We'll talk about that as well. The penalty, the second time we played you at Geylang Besar, the one where it was still 0-0.
Yeah.
And then you said that you got pulled. You're tussling at that. Yeah. You felt like, and you knew it wasn't. I'm pretty sure. I asked you after. You said it wasn't a penalty.
Well, he pulled me, but I didn't think it was enough to be a penalty. But honestly, referees in Singapore, that's something that drives me crazy. And I have had so many decisions against me, and this was one of the few, like for me and for the team, But I agree, it was a bit soft. But
that's the thing. I feel like as long as it's consistent, right? But that's the issue. It's not consistent. It's either like you said, like finally a decision went for you, but it didn't go for you like it should.
Yeah.
It went for you when you shouldn't have got it.
Yeah.
And it will go the other way around. I know. I feel like now I'm just thinking about how many decisions I've had against you. It's like you'll have the ball and I'll touch you a little bit, and you might just say something or fall, and then boom, ref gives it.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a bias for you because you're a foreign player? Maybe. Do you think they maybe think about
No.
No.
Like I said, I swear, like, I've seen so many bad decisions.
But maybe it's just bad for everybody, right? It could be. Yeah, probably is.
I mean, I don't know if it's just Geylang or like us, but so many times, like late in the games where we're leading or like
the one against Sailors, right? The offside, or was it VA? They had the.
By the way, against you guys, like we had like 4 or 5 offsides that lead to goal.
Yeah.
None of them were offsides. I don't know if you remember that game.
I remember that game. Yeah, there was one Hazwan. Hazwan was completely
Hazwan,
on.
Jose, one with Zuzu. It was crazy, crazy.
That's the thing. So whenever I watch the game back, I'm like, we got away with one there. Yeah. But no, it is.
But it's just that this is one game. But I swear, there was so many, or like the game like. We ended up with like 1 or like 0 points where it should have been 3 or at least 1. You know?
So, would you say you're a fan of VAR then? Do you think?
Well, I'm against it, but for SPL standards, I think that would help a little bit. Yeah.
But what if it makes more confusion? What if like the VAR fourth official or fifth, whatever they call it, comes in and then there's even more confusion?
Yeah, I mean,
you never know, right?
Listen, I'm not a fan of VAR.
Okay, yeah, neither. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I think this year I've experienced too many bad decisions that I think for SPL that might be a good thing.
But do you think it's because your standards and your expectations are different, right? Playing in Armenia, maybe it's more physical, right? They probably let more happen, and obviously they probably have a higher standard, right? Of not only the league but the refereeing and everything. What's the big difference? Do you think you would say between not just like the referees but the football as well?
Yeah, the physicality.
Yeah.
Yeah, even in the US, like people are fit, you know, and then it's very physical. Armenia is very physical as well, but in a different way.
It's not more like running, or
US is a lot of running, and people are physical, but Armenia is just like strong men. You know, you don't play against kids there. You play against men, and they're rough. They're hard on you.
Do you take that as almost like a compliment when players go extra hard on you? It's like, okay, there's a reason, right? There's a reason. They know, because I know when I play against you, it's like in the back of my head, I'm gonna make your life as difficult as possible. Like every time you get the ball, I want to be there. Just like, okay, I'm gonna make it tough on you. Or do you not even think about it like that?
No,
just whatever.
I don't really think about it.
Oh, you're the man, right? You let other players think about you. You don't need to think about that.
I just try to play my game. You know, like I try to avoid actually. I'm trying to be physical with someone. I rather like get around players, like from my first touch, and then because physicality is not my strength at all.
But I see you must have adapted to it, right? You know, if you played in MLS, you played in Armenia, and you come to Singapore now, you probably feel like, wow, this is like the difference in terms of the strength and how hard people run and the pace of the game, right? Must be so, I wouldn't say easy to you, but it must be it's
a lot easier for me.
Okay, yeah,
for sure. Compared to
I can imagine, right? But okay, are there any aspects then of the Singaporean game that maybe you're surprised by, or any players, or sort of like, because obviously coming in your expectations probably weren't high. Has there been any part of it like, oh wow, I didn't actually expect that? If there aren't any, you can say that, by the way.
Let me think. No, it's just sometimes, we just like inconsistent. Sometimes we'll have like great performance, and then next thing you know, like next weekend it's
because I watch Geylang a fair bit, and I see sometimes you guys play, like, wow, you guys really play through the lines, and the way people rotate and move, there's obviously an identity there, right, in the team.
Exactly. So I'm actually surprised sometimes with the football we play, and I think a lot of our players like step up and everything, but it's just like we're not consistent enough, and our standards maybe are not high enough as well. But that's pretty much it.
Okay, would you say let's do some SPL like quiz and Q&A and just get to know what your thoughts are on the league? Who would you say, Geylang or other clubs, who's impressed you the most that you've played against? Like if you think, oh, maybe this guy could play at the levels that I've played at before, he could definitely compete. Is there any player that comes to your mind? Like, obviously, other than we'll ignore the Lestienne and Diego, like we'll ignore those guys.
I would say in Geylang there's 2 guys that that have impressed me, that's Huzaifa, and then Josh when he came here. It took him quite a while to get fit, after NS and everything. But lately he's been very good for us.
Huzaifa obviously would win with the national team.
Huzaifa is actually like very solid on both part of the pitch. Like he's great without the ball. He's great with the ball.
I don't know if you've seen this stat. He has the most fouls in the league.
Yeah, I would hate to play against him, honestly.
No, and I hate playing against him as well because he's the one that stepped on my face that day, remember? As well.
Yeah.
It's like, he's just everywhere. And like, to me, I respect that because I do the same thing. But sometimes it's like, he gets away with them. He's been suspended twice, right? 2 yellow cards, I think.
At least once for
sure. At least once, exactly. So,
He gets a lot of yellows, for sure.
So, really, I'm surprised you wouldn't say that about like the foreigners because Huzaifa and Joshua have both been out of the national team for a while, so...
So, now I'm happy that... Joshua went in and Huzaifa is a bit injured, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously foreigners... I was just focusing on local players, but foreigners... Yoga...
Yeah.
Even for me, I like pressing and stuff, but this guy is very hard to press. Very, very hard to press.
The amount of people that get embarrassed. But I've been on the other side, right? It's like when you go to him, it's just boom, he's gone.
Yeah.
Or like some of the touches, some of the passes, he is really, really like on another level. I feel
with the ball, I think he's very, very good.
I think the style of Tampines suits him as well. The way that they play, it's like a lot of diamonds, a lot of triangles, everyone's just moving together. It's fucking annoying to play against as well. Like when you're trying to defend that. But when you play against Tampines, do you feel like a little bit of like a rivalry? Everyone says it's an Eastern derby, but compared to what you've played in, do you even... is it on the same level?
I feel a little bit of something for sure, but it's not the derbies that I've experienced in the US for sure.
Like if you score in this, you're not like, same level as scoring for the Red Bulls, in the derby.
The emotion, the feeling won't be the same, but still... This year they've been pretty lucky against us. They beat us 3 times and... Like every time we give them a very, very good fight. So
the 3-2 especially, that one was close, Boris, what a goal at the end. That one, that, I can imagine if you're the attacking midfielder, right? You're running back and you see that goal and you're just like...
Yeah, but that game again, like our left back Ahmad gets a red card for no reason in the first half for no reason, and then obviously after you defend, you're leading 2-1, you have to defend with 10 men. But so there is a little bit of...
There's
a little bit of beef
football,
between
right?
us.
It's football, right? There's no way there can't be.
Yeah, but
that just reminds me when we did. I don't know if you know this stat. Young Lions haven't kept a clean sheet. This is a painful stat to say, but it's like we haven't kept a clean sheet in like 50 games, something ridiculous like that. Yeah. And that day when we beat you guys 4-1, that we thought like, okay, this is the day finally.
That wasn't a PK at all.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like you guys we didn't play like the most amazing game defensively, but you guys just didn't really get near our box. Exactly. So when that went, we were just like, none of us could believe it. We were just like, no way, this was the one, like finally.
At least you got a beautiful win though.
Yeah, exactly. No, we played some good stuff, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that because obviously you've played everywhere, right? And what is your thoughts on having like a development team in a league? Like, because so many people just like shit on Young Lions and be like, oh, you guys are trash and like you shouldn't even be in this league. And obviously some of the results are bad, but when you play against Young Lions or in your experience, like what is good for young players? Like, what would you have liked to play in a like this sort of like under 23 team, or do you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it gives young players a chance to showcase themselves at the highest stage, at least in Singapore, But yeah, it's tough. I can't imagine how tough it can be to pretty much almost lose every single game, every single weekend. But no, I think for players it's great. It's great, and yeah, I'm sure you enjoy playing.
Yeah, of course. Compared if I was playing the under 21 league or just sitting on a bench, yeah, of course.
And then that probably gives you like a bit confidence for the national team because pretty much the Young Lions are the same.
Yeah.
U23 or U21, right?
But I think that then people always say there's a bit of complacency, right? And I can see that, right? If you play for Young Lions, then some people might automatically think, oh, I'm gonna be in the national team, and then you sort of take it for granted, I guess. But no, I mean, for me, it's like whenever I play against any team, I never go in thinking, shit, we're gonna lose today. But it's like at the same time, you think about it, like the standard of not just the locals. I'd say we're maybe not the same level as the locals, but comparable. But then obviously you bring in foreigners such as yourself, right? That you guys have that international experience. You have played like you said, MLS, you've played in Champions League qualifying, all this sort of stuff, and then you play against guys that are still in school.
Yeah.
Like it's at a different level, but
Yeah,
for
sure.
me, it's like I learn like that, and obviously, it looks bad maybe, like, you know, to the person that doesn't watch every single game and doesn't understand. So,
would you like to have like foreigners in your islands? Do you think that's yeah?
is this a recruiting pitch? Am I saying
No,
Vincent
because I think one of my friends told me that he played for Young Lions.
Really?
He was a goalkeeper at the time. He was like a few years
I
back.
know
Yeah.
they had foreigners for Young Lions, not because I think it was part of they tried to get them to become Singaporeans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think because as a young player, I think that's the one thing we miss. It's like not just maybe foreigners and the little bit of skill, but it's also leadership. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I mean, you've played against Jacob. Like he's a big part of our
Yeah.
team in terms of the leadership, right?
Yeah.
And since he went down with injury, like hopefully, like I think he's back on the pitch this week with us,
Okay, cool.
running. So it's good to see. But no, it's tough, man. It's tough without having leaders, and like especially if we do concede a goal, and then people's like, oh shit.
Yeah,
And
for
just-
sure that was a big blow for you guys to lose
Yeah.
him. He was a great player, honestly. That game when you guys killed us,
Oh, Zuzo was.
he killed Zuzu.
No, because I remember I look at the Instat as well, and I was looking at the start of his season was amazing. I think that game alone, he was like 100% in his challenges
Yeah.
against Zozo. Like he just killed him.
Yeah.
So I mean, Zozo probably was happy to not have to play against him again.
Yeah, probably.
Yo.
Even Zuzu, he speaks very highly of him. So yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's like I think he's that one example. You know, he's always been Young Lions. I think now it's 5th season, if I'm not wrong.
5th season already?
I think 4th or 5th season because he's 22. Yeah.
Okay.
Because he used to be more of a defensive midfielder. So to see him transition and like, even though he's never played with senior players and stuff like that, he's still able to be a leader on his own and like dominate and command the team and like still impress, right? That's like impressive. We talked a little bit about studies and the traveling and stuff like that. How would you love to see your career progress, right? Like as in the next few years, you know, maybe we stay in Singapore, maybe you don't. What is the plan for Vincent Bezecourt?
Now that I'm in Asia, I would like to stay in the continent a bit.
Yeah.
Just to see things, but obviously next year I'll be turning 30.
It's a big number. Oh.
Yeah, big number. Yeah, I'm old, man. And then I've been saying since Miami, I've been saying that I want to get closer to home, closer to family. So I would love to maybe move to Spain, Barcelona, maybe play and also like start working.
Yeah.
I
think Barry. I don't know how close you are with Barry Maguire. He was with Geylang last year.
Yeah,
I think he's doing something similar now. He's working and still playing.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I was texting him before I came to Geylang, asking him a few questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if I can for 1 or 2 or 3 more years do a full-time football, obviously I want to enjoy football as much as I can, but also at the same time we like to prepare post-football and just have some corporate experience.
Of course,
maybe.
yeah. It would help massively. Yeah.
Because then if I play until I'm like, I don't know, 35 and then I have to find a job entry level at like 35, and obviously to climb the ladder it's a bit harder, so like the sooner the better. I think that I start doing something outside of football,
So with your MBA, is there anything specifically, any specific industry, like what? Because I know a lot of people think, footballers, they all want to be coaches, they all want to be. You have no interest in
no interest, no, at least on the technical side. Maybe in management, I would love to stay to be in the management side of things, of
more of the business side.
Business side.
Technical director, maybe.
Listen, I'm open to everything, but I'm also very open to completely non-football aside and then do something else. You know, for example, the agency that sent me to college. You know. This could be an option. I have like 2 friends that just opened like a little recruitment agency in Barcelona.
Okay.
So maybe
sort of helping people that are in the same position as you back a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
Exactly. But honestly, it's a bit scary because I have no idea what to do yet. But at the same time, I'm kind of excited for you.
I feel like this is like we're speaking to you, and like I feel like this is like looking into my future. If everything goes well and I keep playing football, it's like at some point I'm still gonna have to.
Young though, you have a lot of time ahead of you.
I know, but I guess I just have that sort of mindset. It's like a bit. You have to look forward and think about the future. And like,
I mean, when you get to 29, 30s, then start thinking about it. But enjoy life, man. Enjoy football.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about off the pitch. What would be your advice for your 18-year-old self that didn't even know you were going to play professional football? Would you have anything? Do you ever look back at any moments in your career and be like, I wish I did that differently?
Well,
it's easy to say, right, in hindsight, but is there any specific moment that you like?
No, for sure. Because when I was 18 and I was a student in Bordeaux, with my best friend, I was just like, I was a party boy, to be honest. Yeah,
I can see that a little bit. I can see that a little bit.
Yeah, so I was actually like talented, and I was playing with the seniors already when I wasn't supposed to. I was starting. We won like the league, got promoted, won again, you know. And then that's why like a lot of clubs were looking at me, but at the same time, Bordeaux, for example, they were like, okay, you're just like physically not there yet, but you have everything else. And I was like, well, okay. And then I would still go party like every weekend. What they told me, like, go to the gym, do some extra work, blah, blah, blah. And for me, I never believed at the time that I could make a pro, you know. So I didn't put the work in. Really. Yeah. And then I realized once I was in the US with a little bit more discipline and stuff that it was achievable. So that's what I would say to my 18 year old, probably. Yeah.
Oof. But at the same time, okay, I'd love to talk about this because I think it's a very, like, for me, 20 is the same thing. It's like the balance between, you know, football but also enjoying life, right? Because football is, if you put 100% into it, it can kill you, right? Because if you every single second of your day is just like, okay, I'm thinking about training, I'm thinking about that, you know, what I eat, how I sleep. But at the same time, you need to also like let loose, right? How have you found that balance in your career? And what do you think? It's individual to everybody, right? Like,
well, it comes with time and experiences. I was always someone that liked to party and be like that. And then when I was at the Red Bulls, I became like very, very serious, especially under MLS contract. Yeah. And actually, like me being like on top of all the little things, all the little details, it didn't really work out for me. Yeah. Yeah. And then I realized for me, it's important that sometimes I let loose, like you said. So
I think it was PK that said, every player needs to go out to a club once in a while. I think that he said that like it's part of.
I mean, for me, it's not about clubbing. I'm not into clubbing. But just like, you know, having a few drinks sometimes it's just like. I mean, I think
it helps you, right? It's
a
personal thing. Yeah.
Because maybe mentally I'm more free and I feel more happy, I guess. So.
I guess we say, right, if you're relaxed off the pitch, then on the pitch you won't be so I guess nervous or uptight or overthinking things.
Yeah, probably not.
It's probably your style. You know, French. You know, you need to be like very relaxed, and then like the way you play on the pitch as well. I feel like as a number 10, you know, if you're relaxed, then you're using like your skills and you're making like risky passes maybe. But yeah, I guess that makes sense because sometimes I find myself in that. It's like, okay, shit, I'm 20. Like, I want to focus on football. I want to achieve all this stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, when your friends invite you out or like this gathering going on, it's like, I think to myself, oh shit, should I go? Like, part of me wants to go, but at the same time, like, oh, I have training tomorrow or I have a game in a few days or whatever it is. Like, it's a tricky balance.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you can perform, I never went out all out before a game.
Yeah, that's just stupid.
Before a game, I'm not going to do that, but. Like if it's midweek, if it's a Wednesday, and then you have a game on a Saturday or Sunday, it's fine, I think.
This is the advice I want to hear. And then my coach is somewhere.
I don't know if that's a good advice. But for me, actually, I think that this is better.
I guess like at the end of the day, like it's a very personal thing, right? Like if you feel comfortable with it, then so be it.
Yeah, and a lot of my teammates and friends they tell me that's how you work. You know, you're like that. But
I guess if they've been around you your whole life, right? They can see like you play best when you're on a more relaxed schedule.
Yeah. My roommate when I was in MLS, he was French, and he was very different than me. Yeah. Yeah. He was like doing all the little things all the time. You know, like nutrition, sleep, hydration, like everything. You know, perfect. Yeah. And when it comes the weekend, and then you don't get what you expect from all the hard work that you put in every single day, then you get upset, you know? It's like, why is it not working, blah, 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 blah. So, like, I'd rather just, like, take it easy and then...
I guess when you say it like that, you can also put it the other way, right? It's like, if you don't put in 100%, then when the result isn't as good as it could be, you're like, oh, I don't mind, right? I guess I'm not trying to obviously say anything about you, but I'm saying, like, I feel like if I just sort of relaxed a bit and then like, oh, I don't play my best out of my best, I'm like, it's fine.
I mean, for me, it's just like on the pitch, I will
Work your
always
hardest,
give
yeah.
like 100%, even if it's training or games.
Yeah. I can see that because the other day, I was watching you guys train before we were training right after, and I could see like it was like a 6v6 small-sided game, whatever it was. Like you guys were killing the other team. I think it was you and Tezuka and Sakuma on the same team, and then I was just like the other team was getting killed. They were getting killed. But he's like, you guys were already winning 6, probably 7-1-2, whatever it was, and you just kept going.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed. I think the Red Bulls kind of it became a thing with the Red Bulls because the intensity was always there, and I started to have fun while working hard. You know, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So now, every time I train, I try to give my best, but then at the same time,
you have to have the balance.
You have to have the balance, you know.
So would you say Red Bulls sort of not molded your career, but has been like the biggest influence in terms of the way you do everything, right? Like the way you train, the way you play.
For sure. I was always a ball player before the Red Bulls. Now I know without the ball, I can help my team as well, you know.
And I guess people forget that, right? Because you only have the ball 1% of the game, maybe.
Yeah. And it's so important. And I realized that Red Bulls.
All right, I think we can wrap it up. I think it's been a really insightful chat for me because, going into this, I was like, when I was researching, I was like, oh, there's so much like interesting stuff on here. Like I didn't know. Like obviously we chat before the games, we chat during the games, whatever it is, and like I feel like I know you to an extent, right? We speak, but like knowing that you have a master's or hearing about like, I mean, how you balanced and what you could have done when you were younger, it's been super insightful, and I think I'll carry this with me, and we'll see what happens. We don't play you again this year, right? I forgot. I thought we had one more meeting. That would have been good, but maybe we'll be playing together next year, playing against each other. Who knows what happens? Who knows what happens? Thank you very much for coming on.
No, thank you.
It's been my pleasure, man. It's been my pleasure, and ladies and gentlemen, this will be out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, and be sure just to, give Vincent some love on his Instagram or whatever. I'm sure I'll put it somewhere. And thank you very much again, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.